I can't sleep, so I'd like to talk a bit about arrogance, intellectualism, and hierarchies. It seems to me that whenever someone says that someone else is arrogant, the person making the accusation is responding to their perception that the other person is placing themselves above them in the hierarchy in a way that's not justified. And if you care a lot about social status and how much power and position and authority you have inside a power structure, then it is on that basis that you'll make the judgment. And if you care more about getting the right answer and principles of philosophy and, using intelligence to come to the truth regardless of what people think about it, then you'll, of course, prefer that hierarchy. And so this will come to a head often, especially in organizations, where someone who is high in the organizational social hierarchy will say something or have some policy, and someone lower in that hierarchy but arguably higher in the hierarchy of actually using intellect to come to the correct understanding of a situation and the correct path forward in domains that they understand, will challenge them without regard for their status in the social hierarchy and will immediately be considered arrogant. And I would argue that this is most commonly coming up when you have the sort of low status intellectual against the high status not so intellectual person. And that it's not that intellectual people are more arrogant. It's just that they step on the egos of people who are interested in a very different hierarchy. And it's a very interesting double standard on this topic. Take critical reasoning, for example. Now, if I were to presume to correct somebody on their reasoning, or say that they're wrong, or loudly substitute my own opinion for theirs, giving only brief logical or rational grounds, I would almost certainly be called arrogant, because there's a very low chance that I'm higher than pretty much anyone in a social hierarchy, because being neuroatypical, I don't even have some of the sorts of intelligence that are needed for that, which also, by the way, would make me a poor leader. It's not that I'm, superior and misunderstood. It's just that there may be some ways in which I am actually technically superior. Would you call Muhammad Ali arrogant for saying that he's the greatest? Well, some people did, but they would not dispute that he was the greatest. They would accept that, whether they liked it or not. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the intellectual equivalent of Muhammad Ali, not at all. I am saying that I'm the equivalent of a low-level expert, someone who has actually formally trained in the topic and has practiced it most of their life through their passion for the topic. If you had a formally trained musician who practiced music their entire life due to their passion in music, then, and the person told you something about music and you don't actually have any training in music, you've got almost no experience in music, and what experience you do have is whatever you cobble together, and you've got only your own ear to judge whether it's good or not. It's not arrogant for the person to critique your musical theory, your knowledge of music, even though they're nowhere near the greatest musician in the world. Well, I would say if someone thinks that I'm arrogant, can they perhaps show me that they have better formal training in critical reasoning than I do and more experience in it? Or, since we're on a topic where you can have actual objective opinions, can they actually show me that I'm wrong through reasoning? The answer for a person calling me arrogant is almost certainly no. Because they're not calling me arrogant because I'm wrong. They're calling me arrogant because I'm stepping outside of what they perceive to be my rightful social status. And I would contest that whole idea. It's very much the sibling concept of might is right. That's how it is, so it must be justified. Now, we've learnt not to accept that, for might is right, but when you take a slightly indirect version of the same thing, which is that we grew up in tribal societies, and people with physical prowess or the ability to get people on side who had numbers and physical prowess would gain power and could literally kill or exile people who said things they don't like. And people's need to not fall on the bad side of these people led to the obsession with social status. I mean, it probably goes back in primates, before we were like organizing societies and stuff in the way we do now, but it's that same instinct. It's the instinct of a warlord. It's the instinct of someone in a street gang. It's the instinct of the school bully. It's the instinct of the pigs niggling the runt. It's not something to aspire to. It's something to grow past as human beings. So I'm not intending, if my channel ever starts getting views, to engage with people calling me arrogant. I'm going to let this video be my apology on the topic.